Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be.
Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to the Accursed, and this video is by special request. One of my subscribers and someone who picked up a copy of The World Below in hardcover, you know how it works. If you pick up a copy of The World Below in hardcover, you get to get in touch with me via MatthewDawkins.com and request a video of your choosing. Please do so. I want more people to buy The World Below. It's the only RPG I claim royalties from. One person by the name of Andy got in touch with me and wanted to know how best to portray an interstitial zone, a form of liminality, in the Curseborne RPG. And I often get asked about liminalities in Curseborne. I think liminalities, liminal spaces, is something that has very much captured the interest of a lot of Curseborne fans. How do you get to these between spaces? What is the world like within them? And Andy said, what media can I reference for liminalities? Now, there are lots of pieces of media that have liminal spaces in. I've spoken about Twin Peaks before. You could look at the Overlook Hotel from The Shining, which is neither a haunted house nor hell. It is somewhere in between. And what I really wanted to talk about as probably the best current televisual example of a liminality, certainly a horrific one, is the town from the TV show From.
Of the city.
Maybe we missed the sign for the highway.
We didn't miss the sign.
When the sun refused to shine.
Can I help you?
We got on a detour off the highway and cell service around
Got
here.
your family with you?
Yeah. I was wondering if you could point me in the direction of the highway.
Not a problem.
And one thing I know is true.
What do you say?
Stay on the road.
You're dead before your time is
Did we turn somewhere?
God damn it.
Jim, we're driving in circles. You drove out this way.
Now, Fromville, as it is often referred to among the fan base of the TV show From, is a locked-in town that you arrive at accidentally, but then find it impossible from which to leave. The TV show starts with our main characters, some of our main characters, on a road trip. They are forced to take a diversion due to a tree that has fallen and blocked the intended route. And once they've taken the diversion, basically they are doomed. They take this road. It takes them to a town they don't recognize. The sat-nav's not working. Their mobiles don't have signal. They don't know where they are. The people in this town seem very strange, very panicked. They decide they want to leave. They take the fastest route that they can find out of town, and wouldn't you know it, the road loops back round and they're back in town again. Now, this isn't a Groundhog Day situation where every time they arrive, the clock starts again. Rather, the time is very much ticking down, because if you get caught outside in Fromville, come nightfall, that's when the creatures emerge. And I say creatures rather than monsters, though there are certainly monsters in this TV show, because there is something more critter-like, something more pernicious, something more insidious about a creature, I find, than a monster. They are very much the definition of what I consider outsiders, or people who have got trapped in an outside and slowly had the humanity, the life force drained out of them. The first of which that we encounter, the creatures in From, are almost vampiric, in the sense that when we're first introduced to them, they will tap on windows, they will knock on doors, they will have these rictus grins, and they'll say, please let me in, I'm so cold out here, come out and play, open the door just a little, let me get some warmth, and so on. And as soon as you do, they attack. Now, clearly anyone of any sound mind wouldn't let a creature like this in, or wouldn't get caught outside after nightfall. And there is a reason they cannot enter some buildings and they can enter others. I'm not going to go into the full detail of the plot, but needless to say, they find it very easy to prey on the young and manipulable, people who are undergoing mental distress, the particularly elderly and vulnerable. And this means that the town in From steadily becomes a center block of those who are very stubborn, very hard-willed, or very much on the border of hysteria and mental breakdown. Now, there is a plot to all of this. It isn't just a horror show. There is very much a thematic idea that's going on, a sustained meditation on liminality, if you like, on being trapped between destinations, between identities, between hope and annihilation. Curseborne, with its accursed protagonists and its emphasis on personal damnation entangled with supernatural systems, I think provides an ideal framework for reimagining the town of From as an interstitial zone. There's a cursed threshold that feeds on those who pass through it and refuses to let them leave unchanged, if indeed you can leave at all. Now, one thing that Andy said is what I'm not sure about with outsides is the fact that outcasts, if you have one in the group, can basically come and go as they please. So you would need to do a little bit of tinkering in this case to make the town from have certain conditions contingent on your being able to escape. You need to fulfill certain tasks, for example, or you need to make certain sacrifices. This is not going to be as easy as simply bleeding a curse die. Or, if you do, it basically means you cannot bring the rest of your crew with you. You can no longer bring up to, I think it's 9 or 10 people in the core book. If you're escaping, you are escaping by yourself. There is also the issue in From that, of course, our protagonists in the TV show, for all intents and purposes, are everyday, mundane mortals, squishy flesh bags that the creatures find it very easy to prey on. And the creature in the music box in the second season is a more psychological horror that certainly makes you... Well, it isn't even necessarily a hallucination, because someone sees worms under their skin or bugs under their skin, and then it turns out they do actually have bugs under their skin. But there are creatures that basically drain hope. There are creatures that are very much more visceral and consume flesh. There are creatures that are basically trying to impregnate other characters. There are a variety of monsters, and as the TV show goes on, the further you almost go out from the town, and it's almost reliable horror in the rictus grin creatures that come to your window every night and try and prey on you if you happen to be outside at the wrong time, the more weird things get.
I've missed you so much.
Megan, what are you doing?
You don't look like my grandma.
She's not your grandma.
I'm so lonely.
Baby, please just...
Maybe I can come in.
Megan, no!
And so it is very clear why in From the protagonists are vulnerable. They are human, they have lifespans, they're vulnerable to having their throats cut, or indeed in one case being teleported into the side of a swimming pool, which is a wonderful scene I very much recommend people check out if they just want to see a clip from instead of watching the entire TV show. I recommend looking into the faraway trees that allow teleportation across this interstitial realm, and what happens when you, I guess, mistime your jump. But how do you work it with a cursed with supernatural powers? I don't think you have to change a great deal. You just have to make it that there are another couple of accursed in this interstitial zone, but they are at their wits' end. When you enter it, there is a hungry who basically says to you, I've been trapped here now for a year. I've been looking for ways out, and all the powers I have, all the gifts I have at my disposal, and the creatures keep coming. I can destroy one, I can decapitate one, I could burn one alive, and then the following night it's still there. I've gotten no closer to an exit. And the humans around me, my food source, is depleting. And what's more, when I try feeding from one of these creatures, it is like I'm ingesting poison. I can't even use my damnation to, well, as a strength against these bastards. And being able to illustrate an accursed in a state of mental duress and distress and vulnerability is a very good way of positioning the player characters as well. Curseborne, like a World of Darkness game or Chronicles of Darkness game, has the risk, I suppose, of your characters feeling like superheroes. In an interstitial zone like Fromville, that's not going to happen. And I choose From for that reason. It feels unwinnable, and it's not. There are ways to beat it, and the TV show's still ongoing, so we've only seen one of them so far, and it was only short term. But your characters, let's say you enter it because either incidentally, you're on a road trip yourself, and this just occurs, it's a mystery, why have you ended up there, or some mortals you know and love have ended up there, and you are given some insight from an outcast, a gibbering mad outcast who says, I know where they are, but you don't want to follow. You absolutely don't want to follow. You. Once you go there, you're not going to be able to get out. I promise you, it's a prison. It is the worst kind of prison. But player characters being what they are, player accursed being what they are, they're going to take the bait. They're going to follow the road, and once they do, that's where you hit them with the creatures. Now, I think that one of the issues you would have using From is, I guess, the fact that your characters have powers. Not in the sense that that would allow you to overpower the creatures, the outsiders in this case, that dwell within and around Fromville, but more about how you interact with the mortals who are trapped there, who are scared. But I think, in a way, even though that immediately sets your characters above those mortals in, well, simple power scaling, just because you can show off that you are an angel in human form, or just because you can shapeshift into a wolf, doesn't immediately endear you to them, and in fact may make them see you as just as bad as the creatures. In fact, they may think that you are creatures. So this means you are just as locked into the horror as the mortals and the creatures who are trapped there. I think, as well, you could explore the mystery of why did this interstitial zone come to be? Where did the creatures come from? I occasionally have read that people look at From and think, oh, it's a bit like Lost. The mysteries are never going to be solved. And I will often throw that back at people who criticize Lost, because I'm a big Lost fan. I think Lost, by the end, most definitely solves its mystery. Whether that solution is to the satisfaction of the viewer is another question, but I think it is a perfectly satisfactory conclusion, and I will write an essay on that at some juncture. But in the meantime, people criticize From and they say it's just a mystery box, it's just more and more questions, no answers. That isn't the case at all. Answers have been delivered, such as where certain creatures come from, how to get out of the town, why certain people are chosen to go there. These sorts of things are resolved across the 3 seasons that have been released so far, and I believe they're aiming for 5 seasons and then it's done, which I think is always a good sign when a showrunner, when writers have an idea for a beginning to end, rather than doing some god-awful Star Trek Discovery spinning of your wheels, well, how long is this going to go on? We've just got to keep repeating the same shitty plots over and over again. And yes, I know Lost in Season 3 falls into that trap as well, but very promptly gets back on track by Season 4. With From, you need to, and From via Curseborne, you need to be able to answer these mysteries, and that needs to be an operative aspect of the player character's experience in Fromville. You need to be able to solve the mysteries, at least some of them, not all of them, because I think what you can best do with Fromville is have your accursed solve a fraction of the mystery, enough to maybe get them out. They get out, but then they are racked with guilt, with visions. They know about the people they've left behind. Maybe they just want to know, they're driven to know, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And they are forced to go back. And yes, that's a bit Lost-like in its own way. You know, we've got to go back. I think that's a brilliant way of handling an interstitial zone in Curseborne. Liminalities don't need to be horrifically alien. They don't need to feel like Escher's mind maze where everything's anti-gravity and you're walking up walls and nothing looks human. I think the best outsides are the ones that are uncanny. Outsides and liminalities, the ones that feel normal at first, but then the wallpaper starts peeling and you start seeing what was written on the wall beforehand. Then you see the people there for what they really are. Then you see the creatures that actually live there and use this as their hunting ground. I strongly recommend anybody who wants a good insight into a really horrific liminality, look up From. It is on all kinds of streaming services, so I'm sure you can find it. Give the first few episodes a go. Be warned, it is a horrific show from the first episode. I mean, if you don't like gore, this is not a show for you. But if you like horror, and especially mounting hysteria, it does let up occasionally. There are moments of humour. You do have some characters who are slightly more light-hearted than others. But in a lot of ways, it is a constant torment, but a really satisfying one. And the entire cast, in my view, and this is a praise I very rarely level at any TV show, it is one hell of a great ensemble. Especially because so many of the cast seem to be relatively new to TV. Harold Perrineau is the lead, I would suggest, as Boyd, the sort of self-appointed sheriff of the town, who takes it upon himself to basically ensure no one dies and succeeds to varying degrees depending on the episodes. But many of the rest of the cast you probably wouldn't have seen before. And that only adds to the level of, I guess, alienness that the TV show has. The fact that anyone is expendable, that anything can happen, but really also opens your eyes to the possibility that this person could emerge to be a hero, this person could emerge to be a villain. I think that's great fun. And just to cycle back to Lost again, Lost had the same thing, where very few of the actors were recognizable from other TV shows at that time. And with that, you had a mystery that could have gone in any direction. Again, maybe not to your satisfaction, but check From out. And if you're already watching it, please let me know in the comments. Don't spoil anything if you can avoid it. That would be appreciated, because there may be people who want to check it out based on this recommendation. I'll try and splice some clips into this video as well, and hopefully not get too struck by copyright to whet your appetite. And in the meantime, do have fun with Curseborne. You can order it now on DriveThruRPG in print and PDF. You can also order a traditionally printed version, I believe, through BackerKit still. And what's more, you can order the Curseborne Player's Guide through BackerKit now and get access to that entire manuscript as soon as you do so. Loads of families to play, loads of stories to tell, and we've got an entire book on liminalities coming up for Curseborne, so stay tuned on that one. Thank you very much for watching. I will be seeing you next time.
This is what happens when you break the rules.
We gotta get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do.
They're coming.
There's only so many places we can go.
We gotta get out of this place.
What are they?
If it's the
You believe in monsters? Please don't.
A man protects his family.
Get these people home, Sheriff.
Do everything I can.
Promise me.